our countdown to camp series continues on here. Today we're talking about who will emerge as the biggest offensive weapon for the Broncos in 2021. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Dalala and Sidney Jones. Guys, who do you like? Who's going to be a surprise on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise, Phil, but I think Jerry Jeudy is poised to take that next step in his career. You always see a big jump from year one to year two with receivers. Jerry Jeudy, 52 catches last year, more than 850 yards, and that was without Courtland Sutton. All the attention was on him, and he delivered, especially late in the year. The way he rebounded against the Raiders after a tough game against the Chargers, I just thought was so impressive. His work ethic has been good all offseason. And I think with Sutton back, Jeudy is now going to get the attention or less attention and be able to thrive. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, that would be a heck of a second season, but like you mentioned, these guys make big jumps in their second year at the wide receiver position. 3 touchdowns last year for Jerry Jeudy. Sidney, who's your guy?
I'm going to go with Noah Fant. I think this year is going to be his breakout season. You know, he's said time and time again that he wants to be one of the top tight ends in the league. He wants to be in talks with, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. He even said, he wants to be a household name for the Broncos, like Von Miller is. And I think one thing that he'll need to work on this year is just consistency. And he's even said that. He's talked about how, he's not consistently involved throughout a whole game like we saw last season. So I think we could see a 1,000-yard season for Noah, maybe 8-9 touchdown mark. I think he might be able to earn Pro Bowl spot. I
think so too. He was recently at tight end U, hanging out with some of those top guys. Led the team in receptions last year with 62, 673 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. A couple of good picks there from you guys. I like that. I could see one of those guys leading the way for the Broncos. Who's your sleeper pick? Anybody else that comes to mind?
Well, I just think Courtland Sutton is a guy that might take a little bit of time, but if he's ready to go earlier than expected, or maybe comes back at 100% and doesn't have to kind of figure out that knee, then he could be a guy that really pushes it from the start. I need to see it from Courtland Sutton because we know Bradley Chubb came back from an ACL injury last year. Took him a few games to kind of get into the rhythm, but if Courtland's good to go from week 1, he's talented enough to get back to the Pro Bowl.
Any other sleeper?
Maybe KJ Hamler for me. I mean, if he can stay healthy. We saw sparks of explosiveness from him last year. I think about that Panthers game. He's my choice.
Yeah, and he had that game-winning touchdown against the Chargers too. He made some big plays as a rookie. He could be another guy making a jump in year 2. No running, not Melvin Gordon, somebody like that. That's why I thought maybe he could have that kind of jump.
Well, I think if Drew Lock wins the job, it probably means that he's shown something in camp.
Could be him.
And in that case, he takes a step forward. You could be looking at him as the MVP of the team.
Yeah, right. Most definitely. Okay, so we got Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant as the biggest offensive weapons coming up next season for the Broncos. That's going to do it for us. For Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Milani.